What's up, guys? So, if you didn't know, a couple weeks back, Deepwoken made a change to a certain talent, and this change makes the talent completely unusable. So, if you didn't know what I'm talking about, it's the talent called Heretic Sutra. Heretic Sutra, on its base, just gives you some insanity. And while normally this wouldn't be a very good talent at all because it literally just debuffs you, when combined with Lose Your Mind and Piercing Will, which are both very expensive talents, although Piercing Will is at the same requirement as Heretic Sutra. Heretic Sutra also requires the talent Unfazed for it to even be usable, which requires 50 Fortitude and 50 Willpower. So you need to factor in 50 Fortitude into your build as well. This is a pretty big setup for a talent that's now completely unusable. And on screen, I'll put why. Can you see with this? Like, have you ever actually tried? How many of you have tried to use Heretic Sutra recently? If you go above like tier 2 insanity now, your entire screen is completely gray. And you can't see anything. It's genuinely horrible. You have these things on your screen. It's basically unusable. Because if you try and use it while this is here, imagine you get hit with a shadow mantra and then have the person's using fist. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're just getting slaughtered because you can't parry them once. I lost to a fist player who's animation hiding simply because I couldn't see. Because it's impossible to see once you get up to a decent amount of insanities where these talents actually proc. You just can't see. Because as you can see right here, you need maximum insanity to get the most out of the damage buff. This one is a little bit different. I'm not sure exactly when the cutoff is, but I know this one scales. So it's when you use this debuff, right? It should, of course, debuff you, because if it didn't debuff you, it'd just be a free damage buff. But it shouldn't make it literally impossible to see. Like, there's in a parry-based game, in a reaction-based game, you shouldn't have stuff that directly prohibits you from reacting, especially for a long duration of time. If it was temporary, like it was just a temporary block, then sure. But this is permanent as long as you have the effect on, so it's nearly impossible to see. The biggest problem with having Heretic Sutra like this and not giving it, like, if you just had them take damage over time, like a small amount of damage, that would be more reasonable than, or having some movement based, slow abilities, stuff like that. That would be more reasonable than make it literally impossible to parry certain weapon types because they're completely grayscale. Like trying to go up against the Curse of Yunshul Rapier while they're playing Shadowcast. Think about that. Or just the new Deepspindle against this. You're not going to be able to see anything. Here, I'll put it back up on screen. It's crazy. Like, how are you supposed to fight this when you're fighting Shadow or something else with an extra vision blocking talents? Flame blind, I mean, that's just gonna be like that regardless. But just think about it. It's such a bad rework, and honestly, the devs need to revert it. And I've also seen complaints. I'll put this up on screen. There was a popular suggestion a while back to revert it because people with color blindness can't actually see if it's grayscale like that. And there's no way to turn it off, by the way. You can't revert it to the old insanity stuff. It's just stuck like that. It's horrible. It makes playing on decently high graphics. If you drop your graphics, it goes away, which is even dumber because it makes you forced to make the game look worse in order to actually see while you're using Heretic Sutra. It's so dumb. I don't know who decided that this would be a good idea, but it needs to be reverted. I can understand them wanting to nerf it, but this is not the correct way.